What's going on YouTube? Ryan and Alex back once again for Dopemon, and today we're going to talk about the Canadian division, the North Division, the Scotiabank North Division.
Scotia North Division. Real shit here.
We're going to talk about all the teams, big additions, departures, key things that happened in the off season or in the few weeks that was the off season. And at the end we're going to give our official prediction, which is the only correct prediction on YouTube. 100% right 100% of the time. All right, we'll get started. We'll get started right now. Obviously, you can see the colors on both sides of the screen. I think I'm going to come out on top this year. I'm not going to lie. I tried to get Alex into a bet for $100 a game. He wouldn't do it.
5 burritos a game.
We'll start it off with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs, they lost the qualifiers to Columbus Blue Jackets last season. Overall, had a 36, 25, and 9 record. We're second in goals for in the league, 25th in goals against. Now, I want to note, one other thing I want to note is they were 27, 15, and 5 under Sheldon Keefe. Are you still dancing over there?
Absolutely.
They were pretty good under Keefe. They had a really, really, really bad start under Babcock. And that was last season. And I thought about that. I'm like, was that actually last season? Felt like 4 years ago.
A lot of things happen that are you feel like, wow, that happened at the trade deadline last season. Like that was
felt like 12 so long ago.
Regular season games ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Sheldon Keefe hasn't had a full season as coach yet. It's very strange. Key arrivals. The Leafs were one of those teams that had a big offseason. A lot of switching up. A lot of trades happened for the Leafs. Big guys coming in. Wayne Simmons, Joe Thornton, TJ Brody, Zach Bogosian, Jimmy Vesey, and Mikko Lehtinen are my big names.
And I think the number one name out of all of those, TJ Brody.
TJ Brody is huge to have on the Leafs team. Finally have a partner for Morgan Rielly. A top guy. They're not playing him with Ron Hainsey, Cody Ceci anymore. That's it. They got their guy.
And they have a bona fide, top 4 guy to play with Rielly who had played with Giordano before. Another, comparable to Morgan Rielly. So, you have to imagine that Brody's going to be a good fit, a good compliment. It really solidifies Toronto's D. That's what they've always needed. And, it's certainly an improvement over Tyson Barry.
Yes, and we'll get to that. Another guys that left, Barry, Kasperi Kapanen is gone, Andreas Janssen is gone, Cody Ceci is gone, Kyle Clifford, and Freddie the Goat are not here. Big names from last season. What are you doing with your phone finger?
Itself, Ryan. I can't stop it. If it wants to have a party, it's going to have a party.
Jesus. Yeah, so anyway, like we were saying, the real improvement for this team is on defense. Brody, I think, is a better fit for this team than Tyson Barry was. And I think Zach Bogosian is a better fit than Cody Ceci was on that bottom 6. And I know Cody Ceci played
big in the playoffs, which, he'll eat random minutes. He'll play with Rielly occasionally. He'll play with Muzzin occasionally. He'll play with Dermott or Lehtinen, occasionally. Like, he'll just go up and down. He's a good, solid pick. He'll be great in the playoffs. Definitely better than Ceci. I think it's a huge improvement. Like, in every aspect on the D, they got better.
And I think they tried to make Cody Ceci work as like a top 4 guy, playing with Rielly a little bit of the year. Like he's not a top 4 guy. And Bogosian is what he is. He's the bottom pairing, maybe moving up and down the lineup a little bit for ice time. But he's not going to do anything flashy. He's just a guy that will do some things for the Leafs on defense that I think that they've needed for a long time here. Mm-hmm. Something people are saying is that the Leafs got tougher on forwards. Leafs got bigger and tougher. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, at least on the forward side. Getting Bogosian, I think
there was much of a change.
Yeah, I think getting Bogosian is obviously big on the back end, but they basically just replaced Kyle Clifford with Wayne Simmons on the front end as far as toughness is concerned, but he didn't really add anything else. Like, I wouldn't call Jimmy Vesey a big tough guy.
No.
So when people say, the Leafs got tougher, I'm not really sure if that's really true. They might have shifted some things around, and Kyle Dubas has been a little sneaky with how he's kind of marketed this team as a tougher team to play against in the playoffs. But I'm not sure if that's true yet. It's win now mode for Toronto. It has been for a few seasons. But this season specifically, because they were bounced by Columbus, it is win now mode for Toronto. We're not
Some of
talking
the
about.
signings they've made.
Oh yeah,
I like the VC Thornton Wayne Simmons. That's 3.1 million against the cap. That is very cheap, and they get them all for 1 year, and it's like, let's do this now before, like they can't have this kind of roster together.
yeah, and you get some veteran guys. I mean, Thornton and Simmons aren't, their prime anymore, and I get that. But a guy like Jimmy VC, I think, is really, really smart signing on both ends, on Kyle Dubas's part in Toronto and on VC's part. He's going to get to play, at least to start the year, with Tavares and Nylander. I mean,
oh man, that's going to be a crazy season, a crazy line, season for him, right? Like,
I think it's a great opportunity for him to bring his stock back up, because it's dropped a little bit
money next year
after being in Buffalo, and Buffalo wasn't good when he was there. So bringing his stock back up with a top 6 position, one of the best offensive teams in the league, is incredible for him.
It's not the only the skater who got signed this season whose stock dropped because he played in Buffalo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
That's not. We covered it. That's
they got tons of depth. They got tons of depth, I think, on forward and on defense, and with the situation of the season being what it is, I think that would be super, super important for this year.
Unironically overflowing with offensive talent. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we signed that guy. Damn, he's good though.
Yeah, I forgot they signed Travis Boyd until I saw him playing the scrimmage the other day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna move on to the other team on the board right now on the screen that you can see, the Ottawa Senators. And obviously we're now I can't stop them from dancing. I'm sorry, but obviously we're gonna make we didn't give a prediction for Toronto. We'll do that all at the end, like I said in the beginning. Not to give anything away, but not to give anything away for Senators. I think we're both kind of on this team is not a playoff team for Ottawa this year. At least me. I'm not gonna speak for Alex, but
no spoilers. But
they were 25, 34, and 12. They were 22nd in goals for last year, 30th in goals against. They were bad last year. Awesome. They weren't very good.
No, not at all.
But I think they made some good moves this year. Some key arrivals. We'll go through it. Matt Murray being probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Eric Goodbranson, Dadonov, Galchenyuk as a guy similar to maybe Jimmy VC we can talk about. Big opportunity for him. Austin Watson, Josh Brown, and obviously Tim Stützle from the draft.
Derek Stepan, I don't think you mentioned.
Oh, and Derek Stepan, you're right.
Yeah.
I missed him. Other big signing. That's a big guy to have.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
Key departures: Bobby Ryan, Craig Anderson, Mark Boretsky.
That's the painful one.
That one sucks for Sens fan at Sens. I know that. Anthony Duclair, Ron Hainsey, Mikhail Bodker, no longer on this team. Those are the key guys anyway. There might be a few that I missed.
I feel like they kind of. I really do like Bobby Ryan. I hope the best for him in Detroit, but it's better for the team that he's gone.
Yeah, I think if they had moved on from Bobby Ryan, that was all right.
And I like the Dadonov signing with Duclair signing in Florida. Like they kind of just traded places, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think Dadonov is sort of like an improvement on Anthony Duclair. He's a late scorer. He's a great two-way forward, and I think I do like Duclair, but he's kind of one-dimensional. And so it's a win for Ottawa. In that case, that's like a trade, almost.
Almost. I like that. I like that move. I like them getting Dadonov and Stepan, guys who could play top 6 or even first line probably in all, in most cases.
Yeah, one
lines.
of the two will at any point, Stepan or Dadonov. They'll, different line, same line, like Stützle, that's a line.
To play, obviously.
And I like that Stepan, the moment he was traded to Arizona, they're like, they gave him the alternate captaincy. So the captain for like the 2010 World Juniors, the one that beat Canada, like the U.S. team, he brings like a leadership factor that I think like Ottawa could really use, especially like with the departure of Mark Borowiecki.
And that's something we've actually talked about, me and you, like off this channel, is the Sens have like kind of 2 different lineups that they could run this year. They could go like a hard youth lineup and a lineup that has a lot of veteran guys in it. A lot of guys that
Mm-hmm.
bring a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of leadership with them, like Derek Stepan. I know you sent me a couple
Yeah, you can make two
mock
different
lineups.
rosters. One of, skaters who are veterans, and then one of skaters who haven't played a full season yet, and
Mm-hmm.
that's uh,
Yeah, so the lineup I think either
good
like
news.
any night could go either way. It's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think they'll still shelter their kids a little bit. I don't know how.
Oh, for sure.
How
Yeah.
much impact do you think Tim Stutz is really going to have on this team? Do you think
Uh,
this year?
immediate,
Immediate impact
immediate.
right here.
I think he's like might be the second best forward on the ice now for third best, just like overall.
I think overall
As it
skill,
stands.
but like I think impact. I think they'll shelter him a little bit. Like he might move up the lineup later in the year, but at least to begin the season, I would be shocked if he's playing
I
like
mean,
first line
he
minutes with Brady Tkachuk.
because he isn't a first line center. That's the thing. They're not going to overexpose him, but they're not going to underexpose. I don't think they're going to shelter him. They're going to be like, you can handle second line. You're going to take the second line. They're just, that's it. Go for it.
Yeah, it's kind of run him out there. All right.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna like be like, we'll give him some less. I don't think they're gonna shelter him at all, but I don't think they're gonna force anything on him. He is what he is, and they like what he is, and they're just gonna go with it. But I know they're more than willing to give ice time to young skaters that they're like, I can handle this. Brady Tkachuk right out of the gate, number one left wing, right out there every shift. Just took it because he wanted it, and if Stutzel wants it and he takes it, he'll get it, and that's just it.
Biggest addition, we kind of glazed over it before, is Matt Murray on this team.
Mm. Yeah, you need a starting goalie.
Yeah, Matt Murray is still actually very young still. I think he's only 26.
Our draft year. He's our age.
Yeah, he's already won 2 Stanley Cups. Don't say that. Don't do that to us. That's why our theory is why the 2012 draft wasn't as strong because Alex and I weren't in it. So.
And Ottawa has Hogberg, Gustafson, Sogard. None of them are ready, NHL
No,
ready at all.
no, none of them are going to be able to step up this year. I think Matt Murray's huge.
Yeah, that's
Huge tab on
you
this
can't
team.
just not have a starting goalie.
Yeah, because Matt Murray's here, I think he's going to have a little bit of a bounce back season, even if he is on the Senators. Because of that,
Yeah,
I think the Sens are going to win more games than I think a lot of people think they will. But like, they're still not going to win the division or nothing. But I think they're going to be good enough that they're going to hang a little bit with some of these Canadian teams on, especially with the defensive. This division is all over the place.
hmm
Not great as far as last season is concerned. Their defensive structure. Um, yeah, I think the Sens could sneak some points away from a few teams.
and I'd much rather see like as a rivalry Toronto versus Ottawa than like watching Toronto just beat Montreal. Like watching like Ottawa put up a fight. Like I'd like to see that.
Move on. We're gonna move on to the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton last year lost qualifiers to Chicago. It's a big deal. Chicago kind of saw a little bit of rejuvenation from some guys, but lost that qualifier series. Same with Toronto, was kind of the 2 biggest teams to not make the playoffs. That and Pittsburgh, I guess. 37, 25, and 9. Last season, their record, they're 12th in goals for, 20th in goals against. Similar structure to a few teams in the Canadian division. Some key guys that came through here. Tyson Barry, big acquisition for the Edmonton Oilers. Kyle Turris, Jesse Puljujarvi, I'll count him as a key arrival from coming back from the Finnish
Fair.
league, and Dominic Cahoon. And key departures: Matt Benning, Sheahan, Athanasiou, Mike Green, who retired. I'm going to consider on this, even though it's not a departure, but Oscar Clefbaum I think is ruled out for the season, or at least
Yeah,
for
the
part
whole
of it.
season.
So that's
I think he's
huge.
Hasn't gotten surgery at this point yet. Like he's still looking at his options. Like it's a long time coming. It's just no for the season.
Yeah, so it's not like he left as a free agent, so a little asterisk on that guy. But yeah, it's an interesting switch up. Not as much movement for Edmonton as Ottawa and Toronto did. They made a lot of moves. Edmonton, a couple little tweaky things. Barry and Turris being the two biggest ones. But this team is obviously It's McDavid and Draisaitl show.
Yeah, I think the Turris signing is like way underrated. I love this signing for Edmonton. I am a fan of Kyle Turris. I don't think I overrate him a lot. Like, I think he's capable of more than what he had in Nashville. In Nashville, was kind of just like tossed in there, didn't really have a role. Was kind of just like, okay, whatever. Here, he like feels like he's a part of the team. He's already bonding with Jesse Puljujarvi, a fellow top 5 pick, and he's kind of like, hey, I didn't meet up, my high expectations immediately in my career either. Like,
Yeah, similar career path.
I understand. Yeah, and is like mentoring this kid, and I think that's a huge, positive for any team to get like, a kid from Europe who's having a tough time transitioning to have someone to look up to and just feel comfortable. I think that it's going to have a really big impact on the forward depth in Edmonton. I think I love that signing.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think the biggest thing that this trade does, or trade signing for me, is Kyle Turris is your number 3 center. And you're now able to move Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and keep him in that top 6 and not have to move any one of them down through the lineup. You can stack, you put Ryan, you put Nuge up there, keep him there, and Kyle Turris is able to control his line and be your solid third line center for this team. I think the depth at center is the biggest part of that for me, for sure.
And I think Cahoon can play a bit of center, just
can, yeah.
Right out there, like you want to throw Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and McDavid out there, and then have a second, third. Like you can mix it up in Edmonton. Like it's just like, I think it just adds so much. I think they made the right signings, even if there wasn't a lot of signings.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was a little bit worried about that, because for a team that got bumped out in the qualifiers, as much as the qualifier show was weird to begin with and not normal, I didn't think it was enough from a team that really disappointed. But I guess it was, a matter of, not over panicking and keeping.
Yeah, don't overcorrect. You got guys coming up, and I think with the Clefbaum injury, I see Edmonton. You look at their like defensive depth, and like for prospects who aren't playing in the NHL, like Broberg, Bouchard, Samurikov, like they have some opportunities for these kids to really step up. And like what we think as a whole is just an opportunity for something better. They have great forward, great like potential in D. What they're, I like the moves they made. They didn't have to do much. They're just trusting their own system and trusting the prospects that they have coming up. You don't have to overcorrect, right?
Yeah. You may sign a big free agent or make a crazy trade or nothing like that. I agree. 2 guys that I want to watch this year: Jesse Puljujarvi and Kyler Yamamoto. I looked this up when I was going through all the depth charts of teams. I had no idea Kyler Yamamoto was so effective while he was there. But Kyler Yamamoto had 26 points in 27 games.
Yeah, when it clicked, he just clicked with him, and he's like, yeah, and he played really well with Draisaitl, which gave McDavid like an excuse not to play with him.
And I think if Puljujarvi can bring some of the confidence back over from Finland, and maybe not play a top 6 role right away, but be on that third line with Turris and be a solid option for them on the right side. Those 2 guys, I think, could make the biggest difference for this team. Obviously, you still have guys like Zach Kassian and
yeah,
what's his face,
James
Neal. They'd have to kind of bump down the depth chart. You'd have to bump down the depth chart a little bit, but I think these guys could really, really step up for this team.
Though I still have a huge question mark in net for them.
Yeah, biggest question mark for a lot of teams this year. Goaltending is normally kind of a strange position to try to predict, but I think Mikko Koskinen should be the guy they go with. And Edmonton went back out this offseason and brought back Mike Smith.
I think that's the wrong decision.
I don't know about that either, yeah. I don't know if that was the right move. Maybe they were just out of options, or were like, you know what, instead of taking a gamble on they didn't get their big guy, they didn't get Mark Sturvey,
sexy pick, right? Yeah,
sexy guy. They were like, instead of taking a gamble or a risk on one guy, let's just bring back Smith. We'll roll this out again. Because they're rolling it out again, they got to give the net to Koskinen.
Yeah.
Mike Smith is not Mike Smith. of prime.
No.
This
And
shouldn't
would they
even
sign Anton Forsberg? Sorry, yeah, third
Anton.
goalie. Like they don't. He's not like a big. I don't think he's like NHL ready. Like this. It's
Yeah.
gonna be Koskinen.
Yeah, Anton Forsberg is one of their non-roster goalies, but he'll be the third guy. He'll be the taxi squad goalie.
Because they all have to carry 3, right?
Yeah, all teams have to carry 3 goaltenders, so Anton Forsberg will be the third. But they got to give the net to Koskinen, and that's not like a 1A 1B have Koskinen split the net. No, you got to give it to Mike Koskinen because
or
Mikko
40
Koskinen.
Plus games.
Yeah, you got to give it to him unless he comes out of the gate really cold or something like he comes out of unless he comes out of here and can't play goal at all. You got to give it to him because I don't think Mike Smith is your answer.
I couldn't agree more.
Also, quick note, as a Leafs fan, I'm super curious of what Tyson Barry does in Edmonton. And I really hope he has a good year.
Interested. I like the signing, right?
I really hope he has a good year. If there's any Edmonton fans watching, Tyson Barry has a habit of shooting pucks when he shouldn't. And you're going to find that real quick. You're going to be like, there's going to be a counter every Edmonton game of how many pucks he's put into the shin pads of the forwards on the other team. But I think if he has a real big bounce back year I think he had signed a 1-year contract, right? Tyson Barry? Yeah. He was huge in Colorado. Right? He was a big name.
Yeah, he was their number 1 D.
He was their number 1 D in Colorado. Years. Came to Toronto and his values kind of sewered after his year in Toronto.
Just because, one season where you don't kind of fit with the team, right? And that's it. Just you don't bad chemistry, and now your whole, your track record is kind of tainted.
Yeah, so I hope for his sake he has a really good year. He's going to be able to run that power play with Clefbaum not there, and he's going to get a lot of points on a power play. That power play stacked. I think he had the best power play in the league last year, and he's gonna improve that. The other team in Alberta,
3 hours just southwest actually to Calgary.
Right down the highway where we have the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames lost in the first round last year to the Dallas Stars, not the qualifiers, but the first round to the eventual Western Conference champion Dallas Stars. Had a 36, 27, and 7 record, and were 20th in the league in goals for and 18th in the league in goals against. So, little, not where they want to be as far as stats goes. But they brought in the biggest goalie of the free agency. They brought in Markstrom. They brought in Jakob Markstrom. They brought in Tanev. They brought in Josh Levo. They brought in the Vancouver Canucks.
They did.
Big departures: Cam Talbot, TJ Brody, Gustafson, Travis Hamonic, who I think is on a PTO in Vancouver now. If I don't think I have this written down from last week or whatever. Jankowski and a Michael Stone. Mike Stone? The other Stone.
Yeah, Michael.
Who was also on a PTO in Calgary, I think. But I don't think he's signed yet. So the big question: will Jakob Markstrom finally be the guy in Calgary? Calgary has been trying to find a goalie to settle that crease ever since Mika Kiprusoff left. It seems like they've had a couple guys. They haven't had him. Yeah, they've had a couple guys that have had good seasons, but never found like a guy that takes the reins as their number 1 goalie.
And they've told Markstrom, next 4 or 5 of your 6 contract years, you're our guy.
Yeah, and they do have Dave Rittich still. They do have Dave Rittich.
I like Rittich. I love Rittich. I absolutely love him. I think he could, if Markstrom isn't having, an amazing season like he did last season, Rittich can absolutely, pull his weight.
Yeah, and I think this year will be interesting for goalies anyway. There'll be a lot of kind of tandems going on in the league. Not a lot of starters, especially in a really condensed season with a whole lot of back-to-backs. Rittich is still going to get his time.
I think. What do you think of Tanev versus Brody?
Yeah, I have that note here. Yeah, Tanev comes in and replaces Brody. I don't think it's really necessarily even value, but they bring a similar game. Maybe Tanev doesn't have quite the offensive ability as TJ Brody has, or the breakout pass, but Chris Tanev is a solid defenseman.
Yeah, solid second pairing D for 10 years with, a good and bad Vancouver team. So
yeah, Calgary Flames have a pretty decent defense core. Like they still have Mark Giordano there, who's a little older, but he's still doing Giordano things. They got Noah Hannafin, they got Rasmus Anderson. I think is gonna have a pretty good year this year.
And they signed Nikita Nesterov.
Yeah, Nikita Nesterov.
Yeah, zero risk. He's like 925,000. He's already proven he can play at the NHL level. Like, he's done it.
Yeah, so Tanev comes into a pretty solid, established core of defensive players. Now, a big question that I see a lot of people in Calgary have is not necessarily on defense, not in goal. It's can Johnny Gaudreau,
the top six,
including Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, get back to where they were a couple years ago. 2 seasons ago, Johnny Gaudreau had a 99-point season. He was killing it. And Calgary had an amazing season. They were one of the best.
Chuck had a 33-goal season.
Yeah, they might have been the best team in their division, if I can remember correctly. If he can bring that scoring touch back to this team, and obviously not score 99 points because it's 56 games this year.
Yeah,
so it's not even the number of points.
Unless,
yeah. No, if Johnny Gaudreau comes out and pops off a 99-point season, oh well. Calgary wins the division.
Like he wants to aim for 50.
You should aim for a point per game. He's their guy. Gaudreau is their guy out there. And I know Matthew Tkachuk brings it, and Sean Monahan brings it. They have Lindholm. They have a solid top 6. Johnny Gaudreau is their guy. And where Johnny Gaudreau has to figure it out is the playoffs. There's a big stigma around Johnny Gaudreau, and there's been a little bit of trade rumors in the last couple of seasons with him. Is he doesn't clutch up. He doesn't bring it for the really important games. Like the down the stretch games and the playoffs, he kind of disappears into the Flames lineup a little bit. If he can bring back that scoring touch and bring it for the playoffs, Calgary's got a really good shot at this division.
Yeah, I agree. I think their problems are only in their top 6. They have great depth, especially in defense, great forward depth, but like that elite talent, the top 6 and forward, that's where the problem is, and it hasn't been addressed. They're kind of just being like, let's roll with it. Let's just be like, okay, keep going. Maybe it'll fix itself, and I'm not sure. I would have liked to have seen maybe one change in Calgary to be like, hey, we don't want to just be like, we had one good season 2 seasons ago, but I've never had any season quite like that, and are kind of holding on to just that. I'm not saying that Gaudreau hasn't had great seasons. They have, but nothing like that one. And I don't know if while the rest of the league is getting better, they're holding on to this being like, no, this worked, and they're like, uh-oh, all of a sudden they're getting worse.
No, I think they made actually one addition that might be a little sneaky, and a guy that I've liked for a long time is Josh Leivo. Josh Leivo, when healthy, if he plays a full 82-game season, I think is a 20-goal scorer in the NHL. He hasn't had the opportunity yet through injury and Mike Babcock shenanigans in Toronto, and hasn't really had an opportunity. I've heard some things out of Calgary camp that they really like him, and they really like him in like a top 6 role even. Not even as a depth guy. Like he's been getting a little bit of time, and I'm not saying this is what will happen in the beginning of the year or nothing, but he's getting some time with some of these better players on Calgary. And I think Josh Leivo is my sleeper pick out of this team to have a really, really good season.
They're doing a thing where they're doing Tkachuk and Lindholm, and then Gaudreau and Monahan. And on the right side, they're swapping up Dubé, Mangiapane, Leivo, Bennett, Nordstrom. Like they've been trying it up, and Leivo is one of the ones that like, hey, that's another option when the top 6 isn't working. Slide Leivo up in there, and he gets us a goal.
Yep. But we'll move on to our last West Coast team in Canada, the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver Canucks had the best performance in the playoffs out of any Canadian team last season. They lost in the second round to Vegas. we could talk about how Thatcher Demko dragged that team to where it was, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we
Last
will.
year, their record 36, 27, and 6. They were 9th in goals for and 19th in goals against. Key arrivals, biggest guy probably being Braden Holtby and Nate Schmidt. They have Hamonic on the PTO, like we said before. We're going to talk about Calgary, and key departures being Markstrom, Tanev, Troy Stetcher, Tyler Toffoli, and Josh Lebo. They lost some guys.
They did.
They lost a lot of guys who are big parts of that team.
They did.
Their starting goalie, obviously, who we can talk about. I think it was good from them not to sign Markstrom, even though he's probably the
To
best
that
goalie.
deal, absolutely.
Um,
I think I have an opinion on that one, and I haven't been the biggest fan of Holtby, but I like him more than Markstrom in this case. He had what, like 6 amazing seasons in Washington, and then one kind of streaky one, and that gets him a 2-year 4.3. Like it's almost like he's. I feel like that's like a bet on me contract. Like he knows he's gonna be better and sign for more after, and I have faith in him. Is like less than 6 months like younger, older, I mean, than Jacob Markstrom. Like that age difference to me, it's just 6 months. It's not that big. Like I
yeah,
think they're very comparable.
People talk about Braden Holtby like he's like 38, like he's like
Done, right? And
he's
like
31.
some goalies don't even hit their peak until their 30s, and he's 31. Like he just got there. Like he has so much more in him, potentially that like
Yeah.
I think it's like an improvement over Markstrom, like almost, because it's a cheaper contract. He's he brings so much like experience for Demko. It's a better situation for Vancouver in my opinion.
I think so too. I think it was the right move letting Markstrom go. And even if Holtby didn't have the greatest season last year, he had a sub 900 save percentage last year in 48 games for Washington. But I still think he's got a little bit in him. He's got a little bit in him, and obviously Thatcher Demko is your goalie of the future. I think if you're Vancouver, and signing, getting away, if you were signed Markstrom to that 6-year deal, and then you get a little goalie battle, and you got to trade one of them. Braden Holtby on a 2-year deal, I think, is perfect.
And look what happened. Yeah.
I'll say it allows Thatcher Demko to properly be streamed into a first number one goalie position, even if it's not right away. It'll be a 1A 1B probably because of this season specifically, but they're allowing that now. Sorry, go ahead.
And like on him, like streamlining into that position, look what happened this season. Markstrom's having the best and maybe like of his whole career like season like that he's ever had. He's having a great season, and then it gets stolen by Thatcher Demko.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, you gotta sign that. Sign the goalie that just got his job stolen to a 6-year, $6 million contract. Like, I can't see that being a good move. Demko's the goalie of the future. He's gonna steal that starting spot. Like you can't have Markstrom in there, but Holtby you can.
Mm-hmm. And people are really high on Demko right now. I think because of the recency bias for the playoffs. People got to remember Thatcher Demko played out of his mind in the 4 games he played in the playoffs. He's not going to repeat it. He's not, like, his numbers are ridiculous. I'm looking like, where are they? He played 4 games in the playoffs last year, had a .64 goals against average and a .985 save percentage. It's not going to happen like that again.
I'm a fan of Andrew Hammond, and that's not going to happen again.
Yeah, so, like, he's going to be good. He's not going to be .985 good. All right? So people got to bring it back a little bit. But I think Demko's the future.
915, damn. That's...
Yeah, even if you get a league average goaltending out of this team, maybe above league average between Demko and Holtby, I think that's a solid option for them. For me, though, I don't think the goaltending situation for this team is going to be enough. I think this team is probably my candidate to take a step back out of all the Canadian teams. I don't know if you feel the same way about that. That might be a hot take. But they lost some guys. Like Chris Tanev, I think is huge off the back end. Tyler Toffoli, I think, is an underrated loss. He's a 20-goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this team is kind of going to go as far as Elias Pettersson and the goaltending can take it.
Now, I have like half a counter argument, but I also half agree.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
The departure of Chris Tanev is one thing, but the addition of Nate Schmidt, I think, outweighs that, because that's an incredible move, in my opinion. This is an incredible deal and trade they made, like, to trade, right? Yeah, to get him?
Yeah, they had to trade him.
Yeah, like, after losing to him, they're like, we need that guy. Schmidt, since he's been in Vegas, in any game that he's played, he averages with the most ice time. He eats up all these minutes. In Vancouver, he might end up playing, 30 minutes a night occasionally. He could be that kind of guy. And for a team that's like what I think is like lacking defensively, that could really go for them. Because like I don't even see a top 6 defensive core. Like I don't even see that for Vancouver. Hughes, Schmidt, Ben, Myers, Edler. What else? Who's the 6th defenseman?
I don't know.
Who can really
Ole
fight in
Levy?
there?
I don't know.
That's right, but that's the one guy. But like, has he played in the NHL? Like, what's he capable of doing? Like, how can you just throw him out and he's like a left-handed shot? You're gonna put him on the right. Like, there's just too many questions. But Schmidt can eat up all the defensive minutes that you're all questioned about. It's like if he'll just do that, and I think that might go as being, overlooked. That just how good he is.
Next team.
Yeah.
Last 2 teams.
Tough for Vancouver. Moving on.
Winnipeg Jets.
Winnipeg Jets.
The Winnipeg Jets lost in the qualifiers to the Calgary Flames. It's a hard-fought series, but they lost. 37-28-6. They were 16th in goals for and 12th in goals against. Middle of the pack. Solid team, but middle of the pack. And obviously, their defensive depth problems last year was well documented. Key rivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough. It still is kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that. Key rivals, Paul Stastny. I almost called him Peter Stastny. Paul Stastny. Thompson, Forbort. Lewis is on a PTO.
Derek or Tom? What? Nate Thompson and Derek Forbort.
Yeah, sorry. Did I say it the other way?
Yeah, you did Thompson Forbort.
I just said their last names.
Yeah.
TJ Lewis. TJ Lewis is on PTO. Trevor Lewis.
Yeah.
Key departures, Matt Bitetto, Kulikov, Eakin is gone. That's kind of a bigger loss. Shore, Shaw, Bork, the test 2 guys that are gone. It's a little bit of depth there, but no one that moves the needle too much. Yeah, maybe Cody Eakin might be the biggest guy that moves the needle.
That is the biggest loss, which shows that it wasn't that much of a loss.
Yeah.
Though actually, losses. Brian Little.
Yeah, Brian Little.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks for Brian Little. Yeah. We'll see, I guess, for Brian Little. Everything I've seen is, his health is going to keep him out for indefinitely. But you never know. We'll see.
Fingers crossed. Crazier returns.
Fingers crossed that he gets healthy, figures it out. But yeah, he won't be here this year. But they went out. They got Paul Stastny.
Yeah, they got Stastny and Thompson to replace Little and Eakin. Or Stastny and Thompson. Like I think that's a better. That's an improvement. You have
I like Paul Stastny. I like Paul Stastny as a pickup for Winnipeg, especially because he's familiar with Winnipeg. He's familiar with this team. He's familiar with the coach. He's familiar with the players. He was just here a couple of seasons ago, and
scored a lot when he was.
Yes. And having him as your number 2 center, I think is really good. The questions for Winnipeg are not up front.
Nope.
They have probably the best top 2 lines in the Canadian division, arguably. Maybe Toronto.
Why didn't they NHL? Fuck.
They have an incredible to have a run out top lines of Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, and then Line A, Stastny, Ehlers. That's your top 2 lines every day. I like that. That's not what the question marks are. Question marks on this team are on defense. As well as goaltending also is not a question mark. Sorry, what?
They never filled the hole that Dustin Buffligan left, and that's just been the thing for them, you know. That's
Yeah.
the hole. That's what they've been missing. They have good defensive depth. They have room for prospects like Sami Niku, Heinola, Luke Stanley, uh, Green, like defensive guys who are coming up. They got but like not like a top pairing elite D to step up to play with Morrissey. Like, just were they going to play him with Pullman?
Yeah,
Melo
and
doesn't fit well with him. Like,
yeah. So 2 seasons ago, for those of you who don't know or maybe you don't remember, they lost Tyler Myers to free agency, Jacob Trouba, and Dustin Bufflin didn't report to camp. They lost probably their 3 best defensemen.
they went from having one of the best defensive cores in the NHL to having one of the worst.
Yeah, to having
like a
Josh
year and
Morrissey and a bunch of guys. Like there was no one on that team. Ville Heinola made that team out of camp as like an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old because they had no options. Right. I think if they had the depth, he wouldn't have made that team, but he did well while he was there.
Mm-hmm.
They had made a few additions since the start of that season. They brought Dylan DeMello in at the trade deadline, I think.
Yep.
That's why he's not in a key arrival because he was technically here last year or last season.
Like on the right side there, they don't have that's Pionk.
Yeah, they had Neil Pionk as their other guy.
And I do like the considering with Pionk to play with him the addition of Derek Forbert.
Yep.
I think he's a big boy. I think he'd be a great a chemistry thing with Pionk. A great. And they finally have like it's the second pairing, but it's still a defensive pairing, like a real one to go out there.
Yeah, they have guys that they can run out now and
yeah.
not have to dig so far deep into their AHL pool where they're bringing guys up prematurely. And obviously in that they have
still not that good, but they have players.
They have players, but it's not. That's the question mark for this team. Is their defense?
Mm-hmm.
Can their defense bring it? A note I have here, and I don't know how much defense, specifically quality of the defensive players that you have on your team, is gonna matter that much in this division. This division,
this good too. Fuck, holy crap.
This division could be an absolute barn burner. You got guys running out there. You got Connor McDavid. You got Leon Draisaitl. You got Matthews, and you got Pettersson, and you got all these guys. Like it might be an absolute shit show on the defensive side.
We joked about 99 points, but maybe it might happen.
It might happen. I mean, I think the Canadian division is going to be one of the biggest offensive divisions in the league. Let us know in the comments who you think the highest scoring division will be this year. My money is on this division.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Same.
I think it could be crazy.
5 burritos. 5 burritos.
Anyone want to take him up on that? Hit him up in the comments. He'll get you. Yeah, but
I will.
The big question for this team, especially recently, is Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine has been linked to a little bit of trade rumors. He came to camp. He had the whole, the famous, I'm here quote or whatever that he got. But his future in Winnipeg is a little bit questionable at this point. But to his point, he's there right now. He's doing his thing.
Yeah.
Do you see...
Still comes into work, does his job.
Do you foresee a trade happening? And if so, no. What do you think is going to happen?
God, no. God, no.
I don't think it'll happen this year.
Patrick Laine.
Pardon?
How do you value Patrick Laine to make a trade for him?
That's a tough trade to win if you trade Patrick Laine.
Yeah, right? Like, you can't get anything back that'll replace him. You cannot replace what he brings. He is just going to be he's getting better still. They've been grooming him to be so much better than he is. And he's like last year, I think he really showed that there's another level to his game. And this year, I think he's going to bring that even more and be like, hey, I don't need to play with Scheifele. Why did I say that before? I'm fucking awesome on my own. I can play with Stats, I'll play with whoever, and I'll still score. If I think if he can get maybe some of that, I think he can get some of that in there, as he's been developing and confidence and all that all comes together. They've been.
Oh, what happened? I lost you, Alex. We'll cut.
Rephrase the Laine question for me, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, we were basically going on about the Laine trade. Not the Laine trade. We were going about the potential possibility of Patrick Laine get traded this year. Big rumors coming out of Winnipeg. But my question was, did you think?
Again, I think not.
Yeah, where do you think it's
Yeah,
going to
no.
happen? You said no. We kind of lost you halfway
I
through your
think they've
thought.
been I think they've been grooming him for a few years, and he's finally reaching, like a top quality, player that they want him to be. He's not just a one-dimensional scorer. He kind of came in that way a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't see them
No, I think it's
finding a trade partner that'll give them enough value, or B, like, are willing to give up a project that good. They've pulled it off. They've turned him into that.
It's impossible to win a Patrick Laine trade if you're
Mm-hmm.
Winnipeg. All right, last team in the Scotia North Division.
Okay, last but not last.
Last but not last, the Montreal Canadiens, who beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in qualifiers but lost in the first round to the Philadelphia Flyers last season. A record of 31-31-9, were 18th in goals for, 22nd in goals against during the regular season. Key arrivals: Josh Anderson, Tyler Toffoli, Joel Edmondson, Romanov, Jake Allen, and Corey Perry, who we'll talk about because he got waived today, and that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest departure.
Along with Frolik, Michael Frolik.
Yeah,
Frolik.
Michael Frolik's another name.
And Corey Perry both got waived.
Yeah, put on waivers. Biggest departure is basically just Max Domi in that trade.
Mm-hmm. The Domi Anderson deal.
The Domi Anderson deal. Now,
would you like to start?
I was going to be talking about this team for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
I think people have got to calm their ship with this team.
We're going to piss some people off.
We're going to piss some people off.
And a guy in an Ottawa jersey talking shit about Montreal Canadiens right now.
And maybe we're biased, okay? Call us biased in the comment section. I try not to be.
Maybe we're not.
I try not to be as much as I can in like videos like this or talking hockey. I try to put myself in that.
Yeah. I don't
the shoes of that team.
I'm a fan of hockey, right? Yeah. Right.
I don't hate any fan base except Boston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come on, guys. Who doesn't?
I just hate your team. I don't hate the fan base. I just hate your team.
It's the other way around.
I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on this team. And I'm not even saying that they're going to miss the playoffs outright. But they're not going to. I don't think they're going to be the best team in hockey, like some people are saying. However, I think they could really be really good if two things happen. And two things have to happen. Carey Price has to play out of his mind. And they have to stay healthy. The amount of guys on this team that have historic health problems, injury history, is ridiculous. Their best players.
Their addition, Josh Anderson, didn't play in 2020.
Hasn't really played at all.
He didn't play last year, and he hasn't scored a goal since October 26th, 2019. Yeah. Like a year and 4 months. It's a long time, and he was injured and hasn't come back since to play. Yeah. You don't know if he's going to be the same scoring guy. Like, who knows?
Yeah, but a huge chunk of your team has an injury history. Jonathan Drouin's had a little bit of an injury history recently. Josh Anderson, Brendan Gallagher, Philip Deneau, I think, was injured for a little bit last year. Shea Weber has a big injury history. Carey Price has had a little bit of an injury history, but he's just been more he's been fine the last couple years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, even Corey Perry and Frolik have both, dealt with their own injuries.
Yeah. I think this team's going to be good. I think this team's going to be better than, some people would think they would be last year. But expectations are so high coming into this season for this team. And maybe they come out of the gate the first game and they stomp Toronto and they win 5-0. I don't know, dude. It's hockey. It's all over the place.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it could be.
But I want to point out one stat. Carey Price in the playoffs last season played 10 games and had a 178 goals against average and a 936 save percentage. Carey Price was the sole reason that they got in past the qualifiers at all. Wasn't anybody else.
Couldn't agree more.
Wasn't anybody else.
Couldn't agree more.
The regular season Carey Price, way back in the day, back in March 2020. Ended his season with 58 games, a 279 goals against average, and a 909 save percentage. The Montreal Canadiens had a 500 record. They're 31-31. They weren't knocking socks off anybody. The reason why the expectations are so high coming into the season is because they beat Pittsburgh in the qualifiers. And that's it.
That's
really.
It. Yeah.
Now, they made some good additions. I think they brought in some guys that could really help this team.
I think people are a little bit overrating the additions. Because I see the Domi Anderson deal as not necessarily like an addition because it's like a trade. They did lose something for it. And like with the rest of the additions, does that equal, as much? Like I'm a little bit skeptical of how big these changes are for them, because I don't think Josh Anderson. I'm skeptical of him. I don't think he's going to have a very good season. I don't think he's going to score as much. I'm worried about like him not scoring as much. And like, what is that? And then it's just what else did they bring on forward? Like Corey Perry, a guy who can't play during the regular season for a league who they waived as well. Like that's just Toffoli.
And Joel Edmondson and Jake Allen, I think, are the best moves that they made. Toffoli's
doesn't bring
still
them
good.
an elite offensive talent. They didn't get that, No, still they don't have an elite offensive or defensive talent. Like they're missing like the top end talent, I think, to like carry them through a season, to carry them through a playoff series. The only talent that they have that can do that is Annette, Carey Price, and Jake Allen are going to have to do that, and I think it's going to be a lot of them just relying on goaltending all season.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Carey Price fan, even as a Leafs fan. I'm a huge Carey Price fan. I think Carey Price is the best goalie in the world, and he has been for a long time, regardless of his numbers or the last couple seasons. I think he's the best goalie in the world, so he could bring this team to a Stanley Cup final by himself. He has the ability to do that, but you don't want to lean on your goalie that much, obviously.
No, you don't want to have to, and I think they are going to, and that's a problem. That's why I don't like the moves they made. Yeah,
I like the one move I do like, probably the most out of everything, is bringing in Jake Allen. Bringing in Jake Allen to help shoulder the load a little bit from Carey Price in a season that's going to be short and condensed, which means you're going to have a lot of like 3 games and 4 nights and a lot of back-to-backs. You don't want Price wearing himself out and playing 50 games out of 56 and then going into the playoffs completely gassed.
All right. A 1B or like a backup this season could play as much as as often as a starter would in a regular season. Like this, And
it's someone who's competent
so money
too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And he has been a starter. He has been a 1A and a 1B. He can accept his role as what he is.
Yeah. But I think the biggest issue for this team, other than not having like a number one star guy, and it's been the same way in Montreal for a few years, is center depth. And they got a few guys that will play really well. I think Philip Deneau is a little bit underrated. Kotkaniemi, I think we'll see what he does. He's kind of shown two sides of, he's been a good player, he's been a bad player, but he's still very young, obviously. And Nick Suzuki. I love Nick Suzuki, personally. I'm going to state my bias for Nick Suzuki because I watched him play in Guelph numerous times when he was a member of the Guelph Storm. And I've been following him ever since. He's incredible. And I was really pissed when he got traded to Montreal.
Yeah.
Being a Leafs fan, I was really mad. But I think the hype surrounding some of these guys is a little too high. I think that we need to dial it back a little bit. I think he could be very good. I think the parts are all there. I like
Deneau as a middle 6 center.
Yeah.
Even Kotkaniemi as a second line center.
Yeah, but even past, like, these 3 guys are good individually.
Get there, though.
But, like, after these 3 guys, who do we have at center for Montreal? Who, like, what if one of these, like, what if Kotkaniemi goes down to injury?
Yeah, then it's nothing. Then you have holes to fill that you're stretching Suzuki thin, and Suzuki's too, is he ready for that kind of exposure? Is he ready to be, like, relied on? And if he can't handle it,
Like
then the team crumbles and
like
they have nothing down the
who
middle.
plays center for this team in a pinch? Drouin?
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
I don't know.
Right? That's no, nobody
Michael
does.
Frolik, Terry Lehkonen, like who plays center for this team other than those three guys? So center depth is going to be an issue, I think, for this team. But obviously, every team, like you can say, "Oh, Ryan, you're being ridiculous." Every team is, dependent on the health of that team. Of course, I get it. But this team specifically, because I think if a few guys go down, this team is not even not competitive at all.
Yeah, they become
It becomes really interesting for Montreal if the wrong two guys go down to injury, or God forbid, test positive for COVID and they're out for a week. Right?
Oh, that's a good call.
Like who's on your taxi squad? Who's your depth? Like I don't know, man.
Wheel, Evans, they're not. Who even plays fourth line center?
Yeah, I don't know who your fourth line center is.
Yeah.
Looking at your depth chart, I don't know. Montreal fans, tell me. Let me know. Let us know who in the comments who your fourth line center is going into this year, because I don't know. Ryan Poehling?
I guess so. You just give him a shot and be like, "Fuck it, it's your time." We have no other choice. Literally, like you just don't have any other choice. Just call him up, just throw him out there, expose him.
Yep.
Fourth line minutes, how bad could it be?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to watch this team, especially all the hype surrounding it. Like I saw a prediction that this team's a Stanley Cup team. Hold on.
Yeah, no.
It was on, and it wasn't even like some random guy on Twitter. It was like a guy on NHL.com said this.
Oh no.
So.
Oh no.
So anyway.
That's
okay. So before we get into our final prediction,
I'm trying to sell jerseys or something, probably.
Before we get into our final prediction here, I'm gonna throw up on the screen, so Alex won't be able to see this, but without naming these teams, I want you to try to tell me who these teams are by the record from last season.
Oh, don't do this to me. Fuck off.
Specifically in this division.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got a team at 36, 25, and 9. We got a team at 37, 25, and 9. We got a team at 36, 27, and 7. We got a team at 36, 27, and 6. And we got a team at 37, 28, and 6. Almost identical records.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying.
I'm not actually trying to get you guys.
Yeah.
I'll show them on the screen in order the way I said it. It was Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, and Winnipeg. This division is so close that legitimately 1 through 6, because I'm not gonna count the cents on this. 1 through 6 could be anything. That's how close I think this division is going to be. 1 through 6 might only be like a handful of points. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think the top 3 are going to stand out a little bit.
Do you?
Yeah, I think the top 3 are going to stand out a little bit. Right. And be like, okay, look, the moves they made were, like really put them above the edge as opposed to leaving holes in their roster.
So where do you want to go? Go top, bottom, or bottom up for predictions?
However you'd like. I'll let you start.
All right, let's go bottom up. I think the easiest thing to predict out of this division is Ottawa Senators will finish last. If they don't, then great for the Ottawa Senators. But I have Ottawa finishing 7th.
Likewise. And not by any means of disappointment. That's where they're supposed to go. They can, maybe even a half-decent draft pick. The whole point is to grow and be a better team, not to win right now. And that's just what they're doing. And they're putting a roster together that's going to grow and build into a better team. And you're going to see that this year. They're going to, lots of edge, lots of fun to watch. And I can't wait to see it.
The biggest thing about
player out there to watch.
And the thing about teams that have no expectations, they have no expectations, man.
Yeah. They like to ruin your expectations.
They're going to screw up someone's expectations. They're win like the last game of the season is going to screw up someone's playoff chances or something. I know it. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, who's your number 6?
I think they're going to screw up Montreal's chances.
Montreal.
I think that Montreal is going to be 6.
You have Montreal at 6.
Yeah. I don't think the moves they made improve on where, what caused them to be 31-6 or whatever, last season. Like, I don't see the improvements onto that. I see improvements on the roster, but comparatively to the rest of the league, that's still just constantly getting better. I don't see an elite talent that just gets them there. It's just to be like, you're one mistake away from just having a nothing roster. that's all I see. It's just like a nothing roster. There's nothing like that's kind of just like stuck together, and I don't like it. I don't like what they've built. I don't like the Josh Anderson contract. I think that's crazy, way too long. Like I'm not on the hype train for Montreal.
Neither am I, but I don't have them finishing sixth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make a fan base mad right now.
Say Vancouver.
I have Vancouver finishing sixth.
I knew you would.
I think they're going to take a little bit of a step back. And I think in a division where it's going to be really tight, at least I think it's going to be really tight, especially maybe you think of one or two teams going to run away with it. Those middle, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think is going to be really close. I have Vancouver finishing sixth. And that doesn't even mean they're going to have a bad year. I just think they're the team that's out. Number 5, I'll go. I do have Montreal at 5. I have Montreal out of the playoffs. I agree with you. I don't buy the hype. I don't buy the, Josh Anderson's going to be, 30 goal scorer and 200 penalties. You'd be 90s Brendan Shanahan. I don't buy it. Who do you have at 5?
It's a tough one for me. Really tough. I want to say Calgary.
Ooh.
Because I like the improvement they made in net. Because I'm not a fan of Ken Talbot. I'm a huge, complete opposite. I would hate to have him on my team. But I don't think that's enough. Their problem was in their top 6, and it's still the problem. And that is why they were crap last year, and they're going to be crap this year. That's what it's not. They're not any different.
Who do you have for 4th? Speaking of which,
Vancouver,
just making the playoffs.
Yeah. Because I think their top 6 is good enough, to compete with like the top 6 of like the best teams in they're better than Ottawa's, but like compare, I don't have their. I want to look at it. Sorry, I'm better with visual. Yeah, Miller, Pettersson, Besser, Horvat, Anderson, Virtanen, however you pronounce it, Hoglander added up. Like they have a top 6 there that was a great top 6 that worked for them last year, and I think that's really going to carry them. I think Pettersson's going to have an even better season, and just as huge. I think the sky's the limit for this kid, and he's really going to carry the team. And what I think they lack on defense, I have a lot of faith in Schmidt to eat up that defensive depth that they're lacking. He's just going to eat up those minutes, and it's gonna see him and Hughes out there and be like, "Fuck!" But what do you mean a problem with their defense? It's great.
Yep, I have them obviously in 6, but like I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs, guys. I'm not expecting them to absolutely tank, but we'll see. We'll see who's the better. Alex got the upper hand on me in the draft, I think. Like that was pretty obvious, so we'll see if he gets the upper hand on me in the prediction videos for the season. I have Winnipeg at 4.
Mm-hmm.
I have Winnipeg at 4. I think that their forward group is too good to have them not be in the playoffs. They got too good of a group. They got a guy that just won the Vezina. This team's making the playoffs for me. So that was 4 for you, so I'll do 3.
3. Yeah.
My 3, the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers are good. The Edmonton Oilers are good. I don't think they're quite let's win the division now good. And obviously, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl are probably the 1-2 center on a lot of people's list in this division.
Yep.
And they obviously have the best player on the planet. I think this will be really close, and I think it'll be like a couple points, honestly. Like I think it'll be like 3 points between 1 and 3. Like these 3 teams for me up here, I think are good enough to any one of them could be first.
And for me, I completely agree. I have Edmonton 3rd. I think the loss of Clefbaum will be like really felt, throughout the decor. But with the addition of Barry, makes the prospects coming up, makes it a little bit easier for them. And I think one of the 3, Broberg, Bouchard, Samurikov, one of them's they was bound to step up and have a great year and maybe make the loss of Clefbaum not such a big deal. And I like that the additions that they did make, while they weren't numerous, they were the right ones to fix their roster. They didn't panic. They're like, okay, we need a third line center. Kyle Turris, amazing pickup.
Yeah. So for me, I got Toronto and Calgary left, and I'm glad we disagree on Calgary so much. And if I'm remembering correctly, I believe you have Toronto and Winnipeg left.
Yes, I do have Toronto, Winnipeg left.
So who's your number 2, baby?
Winnipeg.
I have Calgary as my number 2. For all the same, similar reasons, but I think Calgary's going to put it together.
Yeah, you think the top 6 is going to pull it together?
I think they're going to pull it together. I think Markstrom's going to have a great year for Calgary, at least in his first season. And I don't know, man. I'm just hot on Calgary right now. I really don't have any tangible reason for any of this.
Yeah, it's hard. I like Stastny in Winnipeg a lot. Comes out the top 2 scoring lines. You need to have top 2 scoring lines in this division because Toronto has 3.
Yep.
So you need at least 2.
And that leaves the number 1 team that we have agreed with. The Toronto Maple Leafs win this division.
Last, at least.
Yeah, we agreed on first and last. Toronto Maple Leafs will win this division for me. They're just the deepest. They're the most complete.
It's just ridiculous.
They're the most.
It's almost unfair.
I don't think it'll be so.
Did they put in cheat codes or something? What just happened here? Are you guys watching? Who did she turn the easy mode on in the NHL? Who did this? Look the fucking.
I think the Leafs are 2 things. I don't know if they're gonna. I would love for the Leafs to blow out every team and be number 1 by a mile. I don't think they will be. I think it'll be really close. But I still have Toronto winning the Scotia North Division. I think they're gonna love not being in the division with Tampa and Boston.
Oh yeah.
Tampa and Boston have been the top 2 teams in the league for 3 years. And it's so frustrating as a Leafs fan because the Leafs are good. And they'd probably be top 2 in any other division in hockey the last couple of years. But they were in a division with the best 2 teams in hockey, so they're 3rd. And I think this year, they're gonna turn some heads a little bit, and I think they're gonna be 1st. But that's it. That's our prediction. They're the correct prediction. Obviously.
One of us is going to be right.
If you come back this video in a year's time, I don't know what to tell you.
I hope we're wrong about all of them.
I hope we're wrong about all of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Get absolutely blasted. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you watch this far, I know it's been a long discussion about these divisions. So that's what we're all do. We like to talk hockey here. Let us know in the comments who you think, or put your order down in the comments who you think is going to win this division, come in this division, and do you think Ottawa's going to win? That's the big question.
Don't forget to call us stupid for hating on your favorite team for arbitrary reasons. We always love that.
Yes.
We are joking. We love every team.
No, yeah, of course. I'm a hockey fan first.
Except for Boston.
I can't, yeah, except for Boston. We don't talk about Boston.
We
don't talk about the Boston Bruins here. I can't wait to get this going, man. I am so excited for hockey. This division is going to be so much fun.
And we'll be crying in front of our TV screens watching hockey less than 48 hours from now. That's...
Yeah, and if you're watching, let us know if you want to see some live game reactions. We can hang out, stream on this channel, and maybe get some Ottawa Senators Leafs games going, and you can make some bets with Alex in the comments. Make some burrito bets.
I'll bet some burritos on you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like and subscribe to this channel if you don't mind. It helps out us out a whole lot. And we'll
encourage us to create more content that you might want to actually see.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know what you want to see. We'll see you in the next video. We're going to be doing a video for each of the divisions over the next couple days. We're going to pump them all out before the season starts. And yeah, peace.